Hello,
Hello!
Pilipinas!
Project Pilipinas, Episode 8.
Yun.
Welcome, welcome.
Magandang kung anong oras ngayon sa mundo. Sorry, ang haba ng araw natin. Medyo, woo! Let's go. Okay. So yung previous episode, ang pinag-usapan natin is Disunited Administration, no? At hanggang ngayon, it's very possible mag-head-to-head sila, Sara and Bongbong Marcos, because it seems Bongbong might really run, no? At the same time, Sara might be 50-50, but ang fearless forecast ni parang Mark is Sara will still run. Of course, why not? Diba? She's still doing well naman in the race. Ang pag-usapan naman natin ngayon is the more I won't say the more discussed and the less surprising disunited opposition.
Yun, right? Pag-usapan naman natin. The other side.
I think the disunited part is pretty self-explanatory, although we're going to go into the details of that. But the opposition part ay hindi masyadong klaro, no? And ano ba talagang opposition, no? How can we even talk about united opposition kung hindi tayo agree on what opposition means? Kasi yung hindi ka Duterte camp doesn't mean necessarily opposition ka. You're just someone else contesting the power, right? Diba? Iba yung opposition. Opposition, ibig sabihin, talagang iba, no? Contradictory yung positions mo doon sa position or yung mga fundamental policies nung administration at saka yung mga anointed successor niya. No? So pag-usapan natin yan. But before we go to that, kami ni Mark kanina may mga backroom banters na kami. Pag-usapan natin ang One Sambayan, diba? Kasi Project Pilipinas tayo. So pag-usapan din natin yung One Sam. Tapos meron din tayo One Sambayan podcast na maganda sana yan. Tapos mag-crossover. Sige, pag-usapan natin yan because Mark, para may gusto kang sabihin about One Sambayan. Again, this is a political analysis to guys. Walang personalan dito. We're purely being political here. We may not be saying what you want to hear, but we're just being political strategist analyst here, no?
I don't like One Sambayan. So basically yun yung pino-point out ko. I've been vocal about that doon sa channel ko. I don't like One Sambayan. Hindi ko sila gusto. Not individually, not yung individually per person kasi per person naman maayos naman sila. They seem like good people, mga dignified.
Medyo more than maayos. I think some would say they're very patriotic people and one of the greatest statesmen we have had, whether it's Foreign Secretary Del Rosario, who I think did a great job for the country as the Foreign Secretary, whether it's former Associate Justice Carpio, who many said is the best Supreme Court Chief Justice we never had. We know why he didn't become Chief Justice. And of course, Carpio Morales, the former Chief Justice and Ombudswoman, who's also very well respected, pretty extraordinary Filipinos we have had. But you don't like them for the kind of political project, or rather, you don't like the political project, I'm sorry, that they're pushing forward, which is kind of a anti-Duterte bloc, essentially, right? Yun ba yung basa mo?
I don't like yung kanilang...
Komportable dyan? Bakit gusto mo ba isa pang Duterte? Why? Why would you say that?
Sa akin, walang masama where you stand politically, kung ikaw ay anti-Duterte, kung ikaw ay pro-Duterte. I'm more critical yun sa kanilang branding for their organization and yung kanilang strategy as an organization. And I feel like they are...
Timing? Some would say they're timing?
Ako hindi sa timing. Yung I feel like they are out of reach. Hindi sila... they're out of reach dun sa mga voters. Yon, medyo ganun. Medyo ganun yung ano. So, I think if you want to win yung susunod na election, baka nakakasama pa instead of doing good. So, alam naman natin yung nangyari, 'di ba? Medyo nagdistansya yung mga ibang mga candidates sa kanila kasi yun yung fear nila na baka makasama pa at maka-turn off pa yung mga ibang voters na hindi naman ganun ka galit kay Pangulong Duterte but might be looking for someone new. So yung sa One Sambayan kasi parang they are too anti pero how do I say this? Yung strategy nila, how they're doing it and how they are saying na they will unite the opposition, they will feel the ano, pero I don't see talaga kung bakit sila eh. Siguro yun yung main point ko. I've said this in my blog. One Sambayan wants to unite the opposition. I asked the question, bakit kayo? Bakit kayo yung mag-unite sa opposition and tatalo kay Duterte?
Let me answer that before we go to the next issue, because ano ba talagang opposition, right? Because we have to discuss that, and I'm going to ask you a lot about that for obvious reasons, right? Because someone is being courted as opposition when in fact he doesn't want to be opposition, he wants to be something else. Unity president, whatever you want to call it, we can guess who. Well, ganito ang point ko. Wala tayong totoong political party system. We just simply don't have it. The only real political parties, let's just be honest, are yung mga bayan muna, yung mga ganito, you know, yung mga leftist progressive groups or akbayan or so on. I think the leftist progressive are the only one who have anything close to what you believe as political parties. I mean, I've observed directly or indirectly many parties around the world, in German elections, in American elections, British elections, so on and so forth. You know, real political parties, meaning may mass support kayo, may mass base kayo, you raise funds, meron kayong primaries sa loob, meron kayong voting process, bago kayo magkaroon ng standard bearer, hindi yung tipong may tunay na ganitong party at hindi tunay at sari-sariling standard bearer. You can guess who I'm talking about or which party. Hindi ito joke time, no? Totoong, ano yan. At saka yung mga standard bearer nila, ito yung mga tao na vet talaga, who really stand for the principles, not only policies and interests of the party. And kumaga may meritocracy, you can rise through the ranks. No? So Labour Party, for instance, in the UK, no, marami dyan mga former labor union people, walang pera, walang you know, hindi galing sa malaking dynasty, or but you know, the party supported them, and when they become the standard bearer, the party will pay for everything. Don't worry, voters mobilize, you're their standard bearer, you just do your job there, up there, but we will support you all the basic organization machinery. Wala tayong ganyan, right? Now, everyone talks about, and let me be very clear about this, Mark. Now this is getting me very excited or riled up. Everyone talks about no more Dilawan, never again Dilawan, kasalanan Dilawan and everything. Let's just be brutally honest. There are very few real liberal members, right? Really liberal people, meaning people are willing to die for open societies, for freedom, for democracy, for open markets. Ayaw talaga sa oligarchy, because that's what really liberalism means, whether the British explanation or the more American progressive version. Either way. At dun sa Liberal Party and the coalition that was there under the late former President Aquino, marami dyan ay andyan ngayon sa coalition ng ruling government or until recently. Ito yung mga tao ng mga butterfly. Hindi po sila totoong Liberal Party. Marami din naging Liberal Party dahil back in 2010, ang mabango at malakas ay si President Aquino, no? And may makinarya sila dahil andyan si Mar Rojas, who supported essentially the guy behind the Liberal Party. So let's just be very clear about it. When we attack the Dilawan and the Liberal Party, a lot of people we're attacking now are actually in the Congress now also, but on the completely other side. No? So let's be very clear about this. What are we trying to exactly attack, and how do we apportion kinds of guilt and culpability? But that's also where the issue of one sambayan comes in the picture. Ang sinasabi ng mga one sambayan people is, there are no adults in the room, there's no real political party. Nasaan bang Liberal Party ngayon? Sino ba talagang in charge? Are they really doing their job? Ano ba talagang ginagawa nila? So us, bilang the elder statesmen and stateswomen of the country, kind of like the Lee Kuan Yews and Mahatirs of the Philippines, with some degree of established pedigree in our specific fields as former diplomats, magistrates, ombudswomen, so on and so forth, we are here trying to help people get their act together. Kasi parang walang center of gravity. So to be brutally honest, I think the existence of one sambayan is an implicit criticism of lack of opposition leadership, right? Sabi mo nga, why would they even assume to be the one sambayan conveners if meron talaga tayong totoong opposition parties and leadership? And so indirectly, I don't think this is what they're saying, but indirectly, it also kind of reflects on Leni Robredo and other kinds of leaders. I mean, as I've always said, Mark, no, ang isang napaka-scandalous sa akin, quietly scandalous sa akin is, I never saw all of these liberal leaders under one roof, in one picture at least, no? De Lima, Leni Robredo, Maria Ressa, I mean, name it, right? All of Sereno. Why are they not together? They should be hand in hand together. Wala. May kanya-kanyang ano yata yung iba, di ba? Yung isa may book tour na, yung isa may ganito. You know what I'm saying? Like, so one sambayan wanted to fill in that vacuum, that gap. And this is where, Mark, my argument comes in. I think the timing is also problematic. Yeah. It is too close to the elections for them to have a real impact, right? At the same time, honestly, it's also too. It's both too early and too late. This is the problem I have on Sambayan. No, I mean, my sense is realistically, you have to look at the next 5 to 10 years to really rebuild the entire liberalism brand in the Philippines. Pinag-usapan nga natin in the previous episode, no, the episode I think on Lenny, no, was it episode 4 or 5, where we honestly discussed this issue na ang laki ng problema ng liberal brand sa Pilipinas. I don't think you can resolve that 6 months or 8 months before elections, right? I think now talaga there should be some deep thinking happening among liberals. At the same time, there has to be grassroots movement on the ground, and influencer, celebrities, Chris Aquino types, whoever, right? They have to come together and help. Yung mga ABS-CBN artista dyan na woke, they should help. They should come in. And I think that's where One Sambayan should be part of a broader coalition effort. But now it's like One Sambayan and then we don't know what the hell is happening. And this, I think, brings us, again, please go ahead and try to, contradict me, no problem. But I'm just trying to explain the rationale behind One Sambayan. They're trying to fill in a gap that is perhaps too big for anyone. And this gap has been created after decades and decades of Trapo politics. Na hindi inayos yung mga problema from Marcos dictatorship years, may mga problema na lumala pa. At ang daming trapo dyan ay nakikiliberal noon, nung mabango ang liberal, ngayon biglang ibang partido na sila, or who knows, PDP Laban. I mean, PDP Laban went from 3 members in the Congress to 300 after Duterte 1. I mean, that tells you a lot. Siguro marami dyan. I mean, sino ba si Belmonte, di ba? Nag-sign pa ng parang friendship, blah, 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 blah. Di ba, dilawan, ano dapat yun? I mean, let's just be brutally honest. The problem here is not the Liberal Party per se. The problem here is Trapo politics, right? And unfortunately, Trapo politics affect every president we have. So we need the real party. We really need the real party system. Can Sambayan fill in the gap? I don't know, but they're trying. They're trying. But Mark, let's go to this issue. Please, I mean, you can also, of course, go back to the issue. But speaking of the opposition, ano ba talagang opposition? Because people are saying, why not an Isko Lenny, an Isko Pacquiao, whatever? Like, Isko is being seen not only as an alternative to Sara and potentially Bongbong Marcos, but as the antithesis or antidote to Dutertismo or a return of the Marcoses. Ikaw bilang isang, okay, let's just be honest about it, as someone who supports, Yorme, no, or at least believes in his policies and his vision for the country. No? Ano sa tingin mo? Anong take mo dyan? Naiirita ka ba? Or kayo, mga Yorme people, are you irritated by this and why?
Okay. So sagutin ko yung kung bakit what's wrong with the opposition, One Sambayan Liberal, then I'll go straight kung why I think Isko Moreno is not opposition.
So, not opposition.
Not opposition. So, yun. So, punta tayo doon.
Mark Gambo knows his stuff. Okay. Manila stuff.
That's how I view it. Of course, syempre, from iba-ibang pananaw tayo. That's how I view Mayor Isko. So,
Manila politics. So, as someone who's on the ground and knows Manila politics and somehow knows the mayor, you just believe he's not really an opposition guy. Okay, I'm just making that clear. Right? Yeah. Okay, let's go.
I'll explain that after nung una kong point. So yung una kong point, I have no problem dun sa, I believe yung intention ng One Sambayan. There are good people dun sa One Sambayan and a lot of their issues I agree with, yung mga West Philippine Sea, and so maraming issues sila na I agree naman. Ang main problem ko is yung execution. Ang main problem ko is yung strategy. My biggest problem is the opposition always plays into the narrative na ginagawa ng admin, and they could sometimes act.
Can you specify what is this narrative again? What are the elitists, blah blah?
Yun, the elitists, the dilawan, oligarch, and puro na lang paninira sa gobyerno ginagawa. Lahat ng all the DDS, what do you call that? Lahat ng mga linyahan nung mga DDS.
The script,
lahat ng mga script ng mga Duterte supporters, the opposition always plays into that, and I don't feel like they did a good job of fighting back. I always say this na for 5 years, hindi ko maintindihan yung mga membro ng liberal and a few dun sa Wansambayan na they allow DDS vloggers to talk shit about them for 5 years without calling out directly yung mga taong umaano sa kanila, umaaway sa kanila. And parang they feel siguro na I'll take the higher ground. Hindi ko na sila papatulan or people no. Pero hindi kasi may epekto if for 5 years they demonize you. Araw-araw sinisiraan kanila. It has an effect on people. That's why natamaan yung yellow brand. And unfortunately, ang natamaan din dyan, hindi lang naman sila yung naapektuhan pati yung legacy ng mga people who built that party. Diba, kahit yung legacy nila Ninoy, tamaan lahat. Kasi walang nagtatanggol.
What is the problem? Is it wala silang ready counter farms? Wala silang audacity? I mean,
that's the issue din It's not even about farms Ako ay social media practitioner pero hindi ko na masyadong pinapansin yung comment section. It's about talking heads. Yung mga nakikipag-away. Yung tinan mo how sa kampo ni Isko, for example, how we deal with ganyan. We deal with them straight. Si Isko Moreno sa kanyang Capital Report tinitira diretso si Banat Bay, pinaparinggan. Imagine that. Imagine that, a mayor ng capital city, nakikipag-away,
tuloy lalo yung troll.
Nagpaparinigan, humihirit doon sa isang YouTuber na tinitira siya. So yun ang part na nakulangan ako sa what we call opposition now. Kung if it's because lang na some would say na elitist, na they feel na we don't need na to go down to their level or masaya na ako sa echo chamber namin or whatever, pero that's where they're losing
To get down and dirty. This is what you're saying. Be ready to get down and dirty. You're in politics, right?
Yes.
I mean, you cannot take the heat. Get out of the kitchen, right? I mean, that's what the point that Clinton was saying in 2013. Pag nasa politika ka, walang dito, walang maarte-maarte, di ba? You go all the way, walang yung mga pa-stop, wala yung I'm better than you, walang yung mga ganun, di ba? Walang hygiene dito na 100%.
Face it head on. One example din, I'm sorry to bring this up, pero maganda pag-usapan din if may audience tayo na opposition. What the administration did or doing, example kay Jim Paredes, kay Mar Rojas. Let's start with Jim Paredes. Na hanggang ngayon they still use yung video na kumalat about kay Jim. Now,
which is a violation of his privacy and illegal actually.
Yeah, pero Jim should take it head on. Na 'di ba? Harapin niya, ganyan, mahilig ako sa ganyan pakialam niyo. Or 'di ba? Own it. Yun ang kulang. I feel dun sa opposition. The same way kay Mar Rojas, for 5 years they've been hitting him hard. Hanggang ngayon lahat ng problema ng Pilipinas si Mar Rojas pa rin ang may kasalanan.
Mark, nag-yoga daw siya, 'di ba? Nag-yoga.
Yun nga, pero he's the one in the position na labanan yung mga ganun sa kanya. Kasi may pera sila, may sila. Kumbaga, ano ba naman yung mag-hire ka ng ilang tao to defend your name or kasi nasisira and ang problema,
roll up your sleeves. That's what you're saying. Roll up your sleeves. Ikaw mismo, try it out. Do some shadow boxing.
Ang uso kasi sa
ka lang.
Yun, ang uso kasi PR team mo. Yun, wag puro PR na yun naman ang sinasabi ko before Uso kasi ngayon, since 2016 hanggang ngayon uso pa rin Yung real talk nga. That's what I'm trying to say. Na we are all flawed. Hindi tayo perfectong human beings, merong immorality, merong pero at the end of the day, ang gusto natin is maganda for the country, or ang gusto natin is ganitong policies or ganitong But as a human being, syempre may kanya-kanya din tayong weakness and kahinaan. So, yun yung problema ko with the opposition. And I said, yung mga Jim Paredes.
Let me put it this way. The whole liberal opposition thing, we're preparing against a Binay. Right? Or some version of an ERAP. That was the whole point, right? Like, parang the idea is that the Philippine politics is a cycle between reformism, Ramos, Aquino, somehow Arroyo sometimes, and then essentially populism. ERAP, and then Duterte, right? And then in the middle, you'll have dictators or something like that. Like, that's the whole general theory worldview of I would say standard Filipino political analysis. Of course, I have some disagreements with that and everything like that. For me, it's a little bit more complicated than that because they feed off on each other. Nagkakaroon ng mga mutations yan na parang mga virus, no? But that's their point. Like parang, okay, ang kalaban natin ngayon is Binay. So lahat ng ating PR machine ay dapat nakatutok dyan to make us also look malamasa, no? Or parang make us medyo mas mabango sa masa. So I think they were absolutely unprepared for a combo Duterte Marcos resurgence. I mean, this just like kumbaga Super Saiyan 1 pa lang sila yung kalaban nila, parang I mean, yung mga kalaban ng Super Saiyan 6, di ba? Parang I think they were just totally overwhelmed. Na tsunami sila doon.
And the whole online surge ng buong yung lahat
bro. And kasi hindi naman hawak, but obviously meron silang advantage sa mainstream media because mainstream media obviously ang mga by the way, ako medyo late ako pumasok relatively, no? Like I was a nobody until 2014-15. I'm not saying I'm somebody, I'm just saying like even ako yung pasok ko sa mainstream media, it's not long ago, actually it's just a year or two before Duterte, right? But yung marami sa kanila marang andyan na sila sa mga big media channels 10, 15, 20 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously, sa mainstream media, let's be honest, you have to have certain qualifications and certain biases in terms of sino nare-recruit. Certain schools, dapat magaling ka mag-English or magaling ka talaga mag-Tagalog, yung diretso talaga, yung perfecto na like Jessica So, right? Galing niya, perfect Tagalog, straight, perfect English, straight. So there's a certain level that tends to benefit or be tweaked towards certain people graduating from certain background and schools, right? So I think the sense of the liberals was, the Binays will also hire PR people who are more or less from similar background, right? But we'll try to play to the masses. So, kumbaga, tayo rin maglalaban dito. Kumbaga, more malapopulist na let's say UP Ateneo UST graduates or Lasal graduate versus malaliberal na UP UST Lasal Ateneo graduate. Let's just be honest about it, Mark. Let's just throw it honestly out. And I think this whole Marcos, especially Duterte, out of nowhere, Davao boys, provincial schools are really smart and really good now, very active. Marami mga influencer or outside Imperial Manila. Marami yung mga academics ngayon na very well cited na taga Davao and other cities na hindi Manila. Like, I think this was just parang alien invasion sa kanila. Parang, ano to? Parang technology niyo, bro. Hindi kami. So, kita mo, Marcos, shell shock talaga sila eh. So, I think one reason why ako medyo makapala mukha ako and like, I'm trying to adjust. I mean, you can accuse me of anything. I mean, I'm liberal, ideologically liberal, but of course, I was always critical of the liberal party of liberals in the Philippines, right? And the reason ako pumapatol kahit saan, almost like kahit TikTok pa, di ba? Ako naman, never ako settled in anything. I was never settled in university. Turo ako ng iba't ibang places. I was never settled in a specific media or medium or a channel even for that matter. I was in ABS, I'm in GMA, and I work around. So, kita mo naman, siguro I would have imagined if there were more people like me, who also happen to be siguro more critical of the government, probably there would be more impact. Again, I'm not saying I'm great. I'm just saying that I realized you have to move with the times. And I think there are a lot of people who stuck in the past.
Mismo.
Things came easy for them. And then, pag nakikita nila tayo, for instance, marami nagtanong, sino yung ka-podcaster mo yan? Sabi ko si Mark. Ano yan? YouTuber yan. Andyan ba kayo sa YouTube? Di nyo nga alam YouTube eh. Ibang mundo yan.
Ibang mundo
no match kayo dyan. No match kayo dyan. Sabi ko gano'n. And then so, like, kaya nga sabi, YouTube extraordinary. Kasi feeling ko, a lot of my friends, even yung mga non-dilawan, I mean, these are the people, if they go to YouTube, they'll watch like the History Channel. Yung mga gano'n. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're gonna watch those traditional media, great stuff, glossy stuff. Hindi sila manood ng Banat Bay or like all of these people who've been citing, I don't even know a lot of them. So I think yun talaga, shell shock. But let me go back to this. Obviously, Isko has absolutely no problem with this. And that's not because he's Duterte guy. He's not the secret guy, kind of Duterte. That's complete nonsense. But because maybe he's not also really opposition, right? Ano ba, Marco? Mark. Naging Marcos. Mark, ano ba talaga? Sorry. Ano ba talaga, Mark? Ano ba talaga si Isko? Centrist? How do you put it? Unity candidate? Ano ba?
ito personal ko kasi syempre iba-iba naman from
of course.
maski sa
Not
team
a
ni Isko
spokesman
iba-iba.
of
This is
anyone. I'm
just
not spokesman of
from
anyone.
my so
personal opinion.
some people would paint Isko as Duterte's candidate or enabler, di ba? Some people naman would paint Isko as a hidden dilawan. Pero ako I would rather
better version ni Erap, I would say. I mean, like, there's also that argument.
There's also that So, I would rather position Isko. Ang tingin ko sa kanya is more of a third force. Is an third option. So, merong
neither nor.
Kasi merong administration, merong opposition. Ako, yung administration, for the most part of the last 2 years, I supported a lot of the policies ng administration except for a few ones I don't like. Like yung sa ABS-CBN, yung sa of course sa human rights, I want human rights. And yung sa China, yung sa issue na yon. So there are issues na I don't support, pero most of the other stuff na nakikita ko maganda naman, I support. I give them the benefit of the doubt. Yun, that's a very good example. For those na hindi familiar sa akin, this time last year, I was I was rallying pro-Dolomite. So I was pro-Dolomite.
Kunti kita na unfriend doon. Sabi ko, I can't. Ano naisip ko, hindi. Actually, kailangan ko siya para makita ko yung mga kalaban. Andiyan ba ba yung Dolomites? Kamusta na?
Nandoon pa. Ito, para to clarify na lang din how my views have changed over the past year. I still like the project. I still like the project, but the implementation sablay. Yung implementation. It could have been better implemented.
Sablay yung idea mismo to begin with.
But I'll stick to my
five-star hotel in the
I'll stick to my pro-Dolomite stance.
In the middle of a highway. Wala, mali talaga yung idea to begin with.
Next year yata wala ng budget eh. Hindi na ata sinamahan ng budget. Patay yung Dolomite. Pero anyway,
diyan ka nag-launch maging TikToker kasi boom yung talaga yung TikTok mo doon,
diba? Doon nag-boom yung TikTok ko nung sa Dolomite.
Isko was also launching the thing.
Isko also that's also one
please correct me, sorry.
Yeah, Isko so was there nung launching nung Dolomite. He was there.
Yes, nakita ko yung pictures,
And of course, ito to clarify din sa Dolomite na issue, kasi Dolomite is just one part of the whole Manila Bay Rehabilitation.
Manila Rehabilitation Project, yes.
Manila Bay Rehabilitation Project. And nakinabang naman yung Manila. In fairness sa DNR. I mean, the Baseco part, the Baseco Beach part, nalinis. And the Manila Bay part, nalinis naman din. And additional pampaganda itong Dolomite. So, Isko, nandun siya.
Kailangan pa talaga ng white sand beach. I mean, sana malinis lang. Okay na sa akin. Makana bang ginastos? 50, 200? I mean, come on. That's just not a small amount of money. Parang 200 ang narinig ko, up to 300. I don't know. I mean, baka may ano pa. I'm just saying, Mark, like, okay, go, rehabilitation, go, Manila Bay. I mean, ano lang tayo, chill lang tayo. Huwag tayo mag BMW agad. Kahit ano muna tayo, kahit mid-level muna. Linisin lang muna natin.
That's one of
40 million. That could have been spent much better way. I'm just saying.
That's one of the main din sa opposition at that time na masyadong
nega.
Nega, masyadong na-rile up about doon sa Dolomite.
When
ang napakalaking issue that time kasi meron yung sa PhilHealth, yung mga 15 billion and 'di ba? It's the least kung hahanapan mo si Duterte ng mga negatibo and yung mga sablay and yung mga palpak na nangyari during his administration, sa akin it's the least eh. Kasi kung sa peso value, 'di ba? Yung pinag-uusapan like yung ngayon, yung Farmally ngayon and billion eh. So there might have been too much attention given to the Dolomite. And alam mo nangyari doon sa issue na yon sa Dolomite, it united again the supporters of the administration kasi tinitira yung Dolomite nung mga opposition.
Kasi tinitira yung Dolomite nung maganda pa siya. I think dapat ninega yon medyo after 6 months or ano, medyo nabagyo na siya. But I don't know, I mean, for Mark, sorry, let me not slightly, medyo between slightly and fully disagree with you because my point is the Dolomite Beach is actually for me a kind of a symbol of a symptom of a more fundamental problem. I call it Dolomite populism, essentially performative. Ang gandang performance, like, ang ganda tignan, ganda ano yung good for mental health ba yung sinabi? For like 1 day or 2 weeks, and then nasaan na yung 240 million? You get what I'm saying? Like, this is the issue that I have had. I don't know about the other dilemmas, but the issue I've had is that actually Duterte administration and Duterte is really good in performative populism. Not necessarily performance, but performative. Maganda yung, di ba? And I think that's the problem.
Build,
the other side,
it's a build eh. Doon pa lang eh. That's their biggest ano eh. Di ba?
Well, I mean, okay, if you want to go there, again, let me say, I was part of the initial conceptualization in certain limited capacity. I will not exaggerate my role. Yes, President Duterte's initial budget for infrastructure was way higher than everyone else since Marcos. And yeah, maybe there's a reason why. So in fairness, and thanks to the money saved under Aquino and latter years of Arroyo, Duterte could spend that. So let's just put that into context. But a lot of big ticket infrastructure projects, nasaan na? Yung Subic-Clark high-speed railway, nasaan na yan? Nasaan yung Mindanao Railway? Nasaan yung Sangli Airport? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I mean, magandang yung launching event, maganda yung pinapakita nilang graphics and all. Pero for me, let's be brutally honest, it's more performative, it's more pa-show than reality. And sa akin naman, there's nothing wrong with pa-show. I mean, Isko is good in that, but there's also substance sana behind it. Hindi lang yung purong pa-show. And that's the problem I have, no? Nonetheless, again, I agree with you, Mark. The problem with the previous folks was that yung pa-show man lang, wala na eh. Or, I mean, let's just, which is where you're correct, Mark. Like, ano naman, Silvia, marami kang magandang nagawa, wala naman may alam. Because, by the way, this is not a moral realm we're talking about politics. If you want to get elected, you have to be known for in two ways you can get elected. Yung marami kang pera, bilhin mo yung buong tao, di ba? Which is a lot of times what's happening. Or, kahit wala kang masyadong pera yourself, marami kang performance, marami kang nagawa, marami eskwela, kalsada, marami kang nagawa. So you win on the power of your delivered public services, right? Again, this is, I think, what Isko is trying to do, right? So again, I agree with you. My point is like, third force perhaps should be transcending both, right? Obviously, there's something wrong with this performative lang na populism. EJ, I mean, saan yung mga big fish talaga? Hindi yung mga small time na naning sinasang big fish is someone, Peter someone, right? Yung mga yan, big fish. I mean, but nasaan na? I mean, but anyways, let's not go there. That's another
different episode.
Let's go back. No, I don't want to go
doon sa third force ng kay Isko.
I think we rather not have episode. But let's go back to the third force because Lacson is also saying he's a third force. But I have some problem with that argument because Lacson was the kamay na bakal na guy. I remember when he ran the last time. That sounds very Duterte to me. I'm sorry, that sounds more Marcos and Duterte to me than really opposition or even third force. But Isko is a third force. So in what sense? Third force. So anong meron kay Isko na wala sa Dilawan at wala sa Duterte?
Pag yung kay Isko Moreno, what he offers are yung his own solutions, 'di ba? So everyone has solutions naman na, pero he doesn't play around too much doon sa mga current awayan na nangyayari. So not so much, hindi siya nagsasalita masyado about doon sa awayan between Aquinos and the Marcoses. Hindi siya nagsasalita masyado about doon sa awayan between liberal and administration. So more focus on solution. I think that's what makes him a third party. And hopefully, moving hanggang sa elections next year, he continues doon sa gitna na path na ganun. Na hindi masyadong, kumbaga, let's leave history to historians, na pwede nating pagtalunan yung sa martial law and all that, pero ito yung mga problema natin, no? Ito yung mga kailangan tapusin. Unahin natin to. So I think yun yung that's what Isko Moreno has done in the past 2 years.
Bygones be bygones, parang ganun, and let's focus on the future.
Parang ganun eh. Parang let the kung ano yung mangyayari will happen, but I will not waste too much time na trying to settle that argument or trying to settle that fight. Mag-away kayo. Mag-away kayo kung sinong manalo, yun ang mananalo. But I will be focused dito sa in the same way na ito nga kasi siguro ang argument kay Isko, bakit why he was too nice to the Duterte administration, wala siya masyadong sinasabi. So I would always say na Isko Moreno did what he had to do para ibigay yung pangangailangan ng City of Manila. Alam naman natin sa atin na pag ikaw ay LGU at hindi ka okay sa Malacanang, tinatamaan ka pagdating sa pondo, pagdating sa support. And Manila, when Isko Moreno came in, hindi naman siya parang Makati or na kaya o QC na sige, ayaw nyo kaming suportahan national, we are doing good on our own. So I guess the city needed all the help it can get, and hindi makakatulong din if Isko Moreno was fighting Duterte all the time. Kung meron mang disagreements, I think it happened behind the scenes. So ngayon na lang lumalabas.
Actually, Mark, let me disagree with you there. Actually, in a good way, no? I mean, in fairness to one reason he caught my attention is because my sense is he just did it more subtly and diplomatically. Like, for instance, sinabi niya wala kaming EJK or something like that. But he didn't necessarily go after Duterte, but he made it clear he's not a fan of it. I think that was pretty subtle. And so in a way, parang he split the difference. No, I mean, I will not be totally opposition, but I'm not gonna just be, like just bend over. So in fairness, I think in fairness. Second one, I remember with Karen Davila, he said na kahit minsan magaspang siya or yung kinalakihan niya medyo mahirap, hindi ibig sabihin na pwede ka magmura or something like that, because you have to set an example for people. And he emphasizes piety, family-oriented values and all. I think that was good. I think that was good. That is why I saw him somehow as a kind of a not only improvement on Duterte, but really an alternative, like really the next alternative to because Duterte also brought something new, right? He kind of combined Marcos and Erap. Let's just be honest. Like, I mean, Duterte is Marcos times Erap. That's just what it is, right? Or Marcos times Binay, for that matter, right? That's what Duterte is essentially, right? No, and they're more Erap than Binay. But anyways, so my sense is like Isko is like elements of Duterte times elements of Aquinos, and then a new kind of, alam mo kung parang Super Saiyan or Majin Buu. Parang may ganun nangyari. It's not like Isko came out of nowhere. He kind of built on what was there, then created new alchemy of politics, right? And move forward. That's why I was impressed. I'll just be brutally honest about it.
Very good point. He made an extra effort. He made an extra effort to contrast himself.
Mark, for making it even look better for him on this. But this is genuine, right? This is genuine. Alam mo naman ako, matagal ko na sinasabi yan kay Yorme, no? But some would, again, we've already made this point in the previous episode, but some would even say na the reason Isko could do that is because there are others who are taking the punches anyways. So, Isko could. But anyways, let's not go there because we discussed that. Please check our episode of Isko Moreno. This is not an episode of Isko. This is an episode bakit wala tayong united opposition, right? So you're saying Isko is actually not an opposition. Now, we head into election. Bongbong Marcos will most likely be there, right? And Sara will be there. So yes, you're right that Isko would prefer not to say anything negative about anyone, but absolutely the issue of martial law will come out most likely in the debates, and absolutely Duterte's drug war and everything will come up potentially in debates because Sara is there, Bongbong is there. So Isko cannot be just say, you know what I'm saying? Like eventually, I think Isko will have to go on after. He has to decide. Are you going to defend martial law or not? I mean, you cannot be in the debates and say, wala akong opinion. Pag-usapan natin ibang bagay. Hindi pwede. Kasi for sure, if Lenny runs, he's going to raise that. Right? She's going to raise it. Lacson will raise that most likely. I won't be surprised. Especially on the corruption, Farmali, etc. He's going to bring it out for sure. But I think Lacson will also go after him on West Philippine Sea. Among other things, obviously Lenny will do that, right? Pacquiao will do that. Obviously, Pacquiao will do that. So
I think Isko will do that also.
Exactly, that's my point. You're right. In an ideal, happy world, Isko would just have it nicely, like Disneyland, and let's go, like just be nice and win. But welcome to politics and Philippine politics. And if Bongbong and Sara run there, Isko will have to make a choice. are you going to take the more opposition line and go after martial law question issue, or go after the Duterte issue or not? And I think that's, I don't know how Isko is going to respond. Probably he'll try to meander it again.
Ito yung point ko din siguro. This is one good strategy din na nakita ko, na difference from the current opposition and maybe Isko na gagawin niya. You don't have to oppose the administration on every single issue.
Absolutely, we agree.
You only have to choose select issues na talagang would affect yung voter, that would move the needle.
And majority kinda are iffy about it. So clearly, West Philippine Sea,
West Philippine Sea is one. Yung
Duterte friends who are actually critical of the China. Like, hindi ko talaga maintindihan yan si Tatay.
That is one. Yung sa Farmalina, yung pandemic response is another one.
The Duque.
Yeah. So I'm not sure pa kung ano yung ibang issues that that's up to his debate team or yung kanyang strategy team.
Surgical approach si
Isko, parang you don't have to oppose everything. Kasi may matatamaan ka eh. Right. Politics is addition eh. If lahat ng bagay about Duterte or about Marcos pupunahin mo, you will call it wrong. There are some people who support that. Example nga yung like you said, yung build. If sasabihin mo na build was a complete failure, meron namang mga taong nakinabang diyan.
Yes. Exactly. So especially sa provinces.
Yeah. So I guess yun nga.
Yeah.
Yun yung tama yung point mo na surgical. You have to choose. You have to choose your battles na hindi lahat ng ginawa ay wrong or mali. Kasi meron naman talagang maganda nagawa.
This sounds very, I'll just be brutally honest, very graceful. This sounds very graceful. I mean, if you look at what Graceful has been doing in the last 5 years as a senator, it sounds very graceful. It's like Graceful will go after Duterte on very specific issues here and there, but on other issues, maybe she's not showing the kind of fire that opposition was. You get what I'm saying? Like, sounds very graceful. That is why I was not surprised to hear that actually Isko's preference for VP is actually Graceful. And I know for a fact Graceful would not have been completely uncomfortable with that. That Graceful would be kind of okay with that. But it seems Tito Soto running is making. But anyways, Graceful is. But we must talk about Graceful because Graceful is also a de facto alternative, if not Z opposition, right? And ito yung problema. Okay, now let's get interesting, right? Mukhang maraming dilawan magalit sa akin. One big problem with the liberal opposition and all is that hindi pa rin sila naka-move on dun sa Marpo issue. Hanggang ngayon, hindi sila nag-move on. I mean, again, I don't want to sound pro-Graceful, but let me put it this way. In fairness to Graceful, she was among only 2, I think, persons na hindi nag-Duterte fist ng 2019. You know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't join the Hopung thing. Many other senators did. They're not being bashed. They're not being bashed. Like, the bashing Poe gets is like 10 times more the bashing that all of these others who just completely, like went to the other side get. You know what I'm saying? And then Nancy Bina is getting a lot of love, including from Dilawans nowadays. Like, oh, Nancy. Honestly, like Nancy is like, I mean, in fairness, like Nancy's rebranding is one of the best rebranding I've ever seen in any world. Forget about politics, like fashion, whatever. Like she has like, I mean, parang mga ecologically sustainable stuff sa office. Tapos yung meron siya mga hashtag be nice, yung mga ganun. Yung sinasabi mo na own it, yung own the bashers, like Nancy got it. So I see a lot of love for these very Dilawans who hated Bina with all their guts and intestines and limbs just a few years ago. But now all love sila kay Nancy. But with Poe, Poe just doesn't do something exactly what they want on a specific issue. Grabe the way they go after Poe. And this is a big problem. This is a big problem because there are a lot of Poe supporters who could have technically supported or theoretically supported more the liberal opposition, right? And the same way there could be a lot of Lenny people who are saying if Lenny doesn't run, maybe we want to go Graceful, but that, you cannot discuss it. I mean, so when you say like mga liberal, I have a lot of liberal friends who hate the other Dilawan side, and there are many Dilawan sides who hate the Poe side, even though Poe is liberal, right? In every sense, yes, she has populist style and all, but her thinking is very liberal in a necessarily good way. I mean, like a Democrat, like kind of Hillary Clinton-y Democrat liberal, right? Or even Biden for that matter. Like that's how I classify Graceful. So hindi sila nag-move on talaga sa issue na yan. So for me, yun pa lang for me, ano na yan, alarm bells na yan. Red flag na ako dyan. Like, the fact that you cannot even patch it up with graceful. Kasi di ba, last 2000 elections, ilan bang Senate seat? 8, di ba? 8 na 0. Eh, sana andun si Graceful. Tapos andun si Colmenares, di ba? So, you put Graceful, you put Colmenares, you put another like labor union leaders and all. Like 12 na kayo. Almost. So, 4 na lang kulang. But they didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, doon pa lang kita mo, bro, ang laki ng problema ng opposition talaga, bro. Kahit yung mga same na liberal talaga, like policy-wise, I don't see much difference between Lenny and Poe. Like, fundamentally, policy. Like, you put them in separate rooms and interview them on certain policies, probably they have an overlap of 90%. Probably may mga konting difference. Strategy, yes, Poe has a different strategy. I agree, right? But on fundamental policy, they're exact. It's like away nila, I don't know, Nancy Pelosi and like Ocasio-Cortez. Pero at the end of the day, they're all Democrats and they hate the Republicans more than any differences they may have. You know what I'm saying? So parang ganun eh. But at least in the US, Nancy Pelosi works it out with Ocasio-Cortez, with Bernie Sanders. They work it out. They work it out. Biden works it out with Bernie Sanders. Even Hillary could work it out with Bernie. Wala tayong ganon. This is the problem we have here in the Philippines. I don't know ano yun, Mark. Ito ba yung kultura natin? Ito ba talaga itong mga tao naging leader natin? Is it about the support? I mean, I'm really struggling to get around this Poe, Lenny, this liberal, blue Poe, whatever, this Dilao blue thing, this device. This is a big problem. And now we're paying they're paying the price for that. Well, our democracy is paying the price because if you don't have a functional opposition, kahit sino man presidente, parang, di ba? He can just ram his way through or she can ram his way through. That's the problem. Because you need a functional democracy to check it. So thanks, Marco, because I like this episode. It's giving me this chance to bring this issue out because no one wants to talk about it. And I don't know why. Like Grace Poe, you cannot mention him to many people on one side. On one side, you cannot mention the Dilawan.
Hanggang ngayon pala, no? Hindi ko masyadong ano eh. Saan sila nag-aaway sa Twitter?
Yung citizenship issue pa lang and everything like that. Laki ng, kasi ang basa ng Poe people is Poe had a good chance of winning. Once nangyari itong Supreme Court issue, which they blame more on the Dilawan, even though I know they're like more pro-Binay people also there, but let's not go to the details. I know kasi all of these people involved, right? One of them was even a former colleague. But anyway, but that's not the point. But for some reason, for the Poes, talagang the Dilawans were the one they saw behind it. Like, parang the more people would never accept me as real, the candidate of Pinoy. So, they'll try to bring. So parang ganon, hindi ko alam. You should hear from them. But my limited reading, from my limited interaction reading, is that parang ganon, na mas bine-blame nila ang mga Dilawan for what happened to Poe. Because the moment there were issues about her citizenship and everything, parang the momentum of donors was gone. And hindi ba tinanggal pa siya momentarily dun sa ballot? So parang, I think I don't know again, but my sense is a part of Poe thinks, what if, right? I mean, what if that she would have become the next president? And let's be honest. Kung saan Isko ngayon, andun si Poe noon. Probably even better position, right? I mean, Poe was really the hottest commodity in third quarter of 2005. Let's not forget about it. As Binay went down, it was not Mars surging. It was not even Duterte surging that much. It was really Grace Poe. I mean, let's just be brutal. In fact, until I think March, number 2 pa rin si Grace Poe. So bro, malalim eh. Kasi parang ang argument dito is the Mar people blame Grace Poe for their loss. Because, well, Mar got more votes, had a chance. If they consolidated behind Poe, Poe was actually palatable to a lot of Binay and Duterte supporters. And factually, that's actually correct to a certain degree because Poe was the number 2 preference of many people who were in the Binay camp, who were in the Miriam camp potentially, who were in the Duterte camp. Because yun nga, just like Isko, no, there was something about Poe that appealed to many people. Because I think we cannot discuss Isko in 2022 elections if we don't discuss Grace Poe in 2016 elections, because there are some very serious similarities there, right? But also, the Grace Poe situation is also the roots of a lot of the fault lines we see. Now, again, I'm not taking sides here. What I'm saying is this schism is a serious issue. And the fact that 5 years na hindi pa rin natin naka-move on either side, from what I understand, that never bode well for a united opposition, right? So I'm not surprised that this thing did not pan out. Now, again, I'm not going to divulge some information that I have, but my sense is Pacquiao was somehow open to be the vice president of someone, but Pacquiao wanted that someone to be a little bit, I don't know, more tougher against the other side, but that someone probably wanted to, I don't know, be more unity guy. I don't know. That's one thing I'm getting. Again, I have to confirm it. So this is just one version I'm getting, but might as well just say Pacquiao had really ambition to go for the presidency, and he felt maybe vice presidency is a spare tire job, as Cayetano put it, probably. So he felt probably it's not worth it. And Senate obviously doesn't seem to be his métier, right? So I don't know. I mean, this is what I'm getting, but it seems, I mean, you are also telling me is that really Isko is not into this mode of let's support ICC or let's support, like accountability for Duterte for corruption and everything. Like if it happens, then it happens. But it doesn't seem like Isko's priority. My argument against for that is this: if Sara wins, obviously you're not probably going to see much of that, right? If Bongbong wins, maybe not. Let's see, not. Right? Because the Marcoses also are remembering, well, what happened to my Supreme Court case, right? Okay, so you can fill in the gaps, right? But let's not go there. Which is also a very interesting story. Nun pa lang, parang hindi na. What's going on? Right? And anyways, again, no offense to anyone there, but I'm just saying there are questions there, right? But going back, my God, dami mga minefields dito, no? But going back, ano ba? Nasaan na tayo? Sorry, like,
gusto ko mag-react doon sa
ano. But if Isko becomes the president, I don't think he will block the ICC. I don't think he will block serious investigations in the Senate about all of the scandals, corruption scandals happening, right? I mean, my thinking is Isko might not be gung-ho on it, when Aquino came in and went after Corona and all. But I don't think Isko will say, oh no, ICC, no, right? I think Isko will like kind of say something about sovereignty, but at the end of the day, ICC will still get some access. Again, I'm just telling this for the other people who are saying, oh, Isko is just really secret. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just throwing that idea out because this
depende siguro how much the Dutertes attack Isko now. Mula ngayon hanggang May. So, I guess depende siguro eh.
Dami nang mga attack sa kanya ngayon.
I will not confirm or deny that so anyway, doon sa point mo ng about kay Grace po and kay Lenny. Kasi yun ang masyadong hindi ko masyadong naririnig.
But not Lenny per se, more like
I mean liberal and Grace po. I think
something like that, right? Yeah.
Ang reaction ko lang diyan, kasi sa'yo ko lang din mostly naririnig and very interesting siya na maybe you should put a little less emotion doon sa mga kaganapan and be more strategical na we must win first. Na magaganda yung mga gustong mangyari, ganyan. Ito galit tayo dito, pero manalo muna tayo. Kasi minsan nauuna yung emotions, nauuna yung idealism, nauuna yung
mga angst, mga galit from the past, mga ganun, mga bitterness.
Manalo muna.
Yeah, manalo muna tayo.
Yun ang siguro ang pina-point out ko diyan, looking at it from an outsider perspective. Yeah, exactly. And the second point ko diyan, yung kanilang energy nga minsan is being placed too much doon sa mga like yung nga kay Grace po or sa mga tinatawag nilang enabler. And not hindi masyado doon sa mga tao na who are really causing the damage doon sa kanila. So yun yung isang ano ko din.
Mark, basa ko diyan. Kasi feeling nila they can't get through the DDS side na eh. Parang hopeless case. At least let's hurt these guys who tinaray doon.
Who are enabled. Yun ang problema.
May pagka-cynical na yan eh.
Tsaka why are you pushing them away? Sila nga yung nasa gitna eh.
They're your best chance to put some balance in this game, right? And then you're driving them away. Like wala talaga. This
is a great example din how I deal with DDS and mga Marcos loyalists I'm nice to them. Kasi if you're mean to them, it would just push them more further dun sa side nila.
Right,
but if you're nice to them, how can you get them over to your side kung inaaway mo sila? So of course, you're not going to win a lot of them, but you might win some. And I think
I'm not sure they'll attack you as much. Would they? I mean, come on.
They attack anyone who doesn't. They won't. They will attack anyone who doesn't agree with them. Because, diba, I said, diba, I was pro ABS-CBN. So I was attacked really hard. I was vocal about that. I was attacked really hard about that. And ngayon isko ako. So they attack me about that also. Pero I deal with this is a lesson that the opposition could learn, how to deal with mga DDS na mga tao. Hindi to bayarang tao. These are real people na pangit ang ugali, na mahilig makipag-away. Sa'yo naghahanap lang ng away. And they're like cheering for their home team. Like Lakers ako or Golden State Warriors ako. Makikipag-away ako sa kabila.
Ganun yung mga Lakers supporters.
I mean, yun yung example ko lang. Pero ang pinaka-point ko, how you deal with people on the other side, you talk to them tao sa tao. Ito yung gusto ko. Yan yung gusto mo. Okay, sige. Magkaiba tayo ng gustong iboto. Okay, sige. Pag they're saying mean stuff, ba't mo ko binabastos na? Anong ginagawa ko sa'yo? Iba gusto ko. So, you speak to them like, don't just look down on them na parang, ay, kawawa ka naman ang tanga mo kasi ito yung gusto mo, ito yung gusto mo. Hindi, kausapin mo sila.
Mark, again, I completely agree with you. I mean, you saw me, even if nagbabalahura ako on my page, I respond. And sometimes may mga DDS people,
you joke around with them.
Yeah, I mean, and they joke around. Actually, they like you at some point. Sir, actually, kay DDS ako gusto kita or whatever, or mga BB or whatever. I completely agree with you. Ang thing ko lang, just to be fair to some of our friends, liberal friends among others, is that a lot of them, I mean, ikaw kasi, I mean, you became more active, let's just be honest, since 2019, diba? But nung 2015 and 16, I can say from my own personal experience, wala nga akong ginagawa. I just said something slightly different from Duterte. Pare, tinatag ako sa Facebook, kung ano-anong ginagawa. I mean, I was not prepared for that, bro. I was not prepared. Nagkataon lang, makapal ang mukha ako. I got to get used to it. Like, ganun talaga. I mean, I told myself, actually, my mom told me, like, yan ang pinili mong career, di ba? Like, paninindigan mo na, di ba? So actually, I like that. Like, but I cannot be a crybaby. Like, this is what I chose. Di ako naging medical doctor or dentist that my parents wanted. Itong pinili ko. So, paninindigan ko na to, di ba? Parang ganun lang. I just accepted what this is what it is. But a lot of people are, hindi naman, like, sino ka pa? Parang to attack me. Do you know? Like, okay, I'm not gonna name this. Like, my book was published, blah, blah, blah. That I had 1 million, like, so like, it's like, oh my goodness, let's not go. Like, these people are not gonna read Paris Review, okay? It's like, and it doesn't make them any less person than you. It's just that they're not. That's just their not thing, right? So don't come off like that. Na parang, ay, kung alam mo ba, nasa Tatler magazine ako, ganun. Like, so parang feeling ko that psychological transition was very hard for a lot of people to make, and a lot of them, bro, they just got scared. It's like, we came to social media to be nice and discuss and all of that. They cannot take all of this hate and everything like that.
Kasi strategy ng is to be mean. That's deliberate. That's
to take out the weak ones.
To scare you from speaking. And hanggang ngayon, takot pa rin yung mga tao magsalita. Marami pa rin takot magsalita. So makikita mo, their strategy is working. Pero yun nga, ganun talaga. You have to adjust. Yun ang point ko. Yung strategy ng 2016 will not work ngayon kasi ngayon mas social media . So you need to win the battles. It's not everything pero it's a huge part ng kailangan mo to win.
Sabi nga ng Pulsation si Ronald Doms na I think radio and social media are same level na in terms of influence and campaign. So the trajectory is really good for social media world or anything like that. I don't know, parang ang akin lang, I mean, I realize like there are other people saying, Richard, parang hindi naman nagiging, but parang pinapachip mo yung sarili mo or something like that, bye. Pero ako naman, parang thinking was like, I'm just showing my kalog side, my, my human side, right? I'm real talk, sabi mo, di ba? Real talk. I mean, why not? I mean, I can do the professorial whatever, but, there are different audiences. You communicate similar ideas differently. And in my case, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot from our podcast, from our chismisan, from our discussion and all. So, in that sense, I'm a liberal. You see, I'm open-minded. I'm tolerant. I appreciate diversity, right? I accept my mga tao will never agree with me. It's just they'll never, like my Lola, will never agree on me on certain things. But on ABS-CBN, she'll agree with me because she loves ABS-CBN. Right? So, by the way, feeling ko sigurado babalik ang ABS-CBN kung manalo si Isko. I mean, that's the common thing, right? I think any of them win, probably, I don't know, except Sara, siguro. No, you don't have to confirm, but my sense is, walang sasabihin si Isko, the Congress doesn't pass it. I mean, like, Isko doesn't have to say anything. Alam niyo na ang gagawin niyo dyan. Parang gano'n na lang. Like,
Hindi ko alam. Hindi ko talaga alam.
Pero Mark, kasi ako, pwedeng gawin campaign strategy yan. Yung mga supporters ng ABS-CBN, marami-rami dyan. Kasama dyan yung lola ko. I'm just saying, like, a lot of them are actually ex-Duterte voters. And then now we're saying,
like yung sinasabi ko politics is addition Hindi mo pwedeng awayan lahat ng for the smallest things. 'Di ba? Na kumampi lang kay Duterte for this project or this aawayan mo na. Hindi pwede. So you need to win more you need to win more moderates to your side.
Yes, but again, to add to that, Mark, you need to broaden, but you also need to deepen. Because kung broad ka pero hindi excited, yung parang love lang. I mean, let's be honest, that was the Escudero poll strategy, right? Love. Look at them. They never made any controversial statement in 2016 election. It's like love. At some point, people just gave up on that. No, we want someone who really stands for something. Duterte stood for something, maybe a crazy idea, but he stood for something, conviction. That's impressive. So, parang feeling ko, you have to balance, the breadth, wideness, yung breadth, no? But at the same time, my depth in dapat kasi you have to excite the base.
You need people to fight for you then.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, Mark, you just need to win more votes than everyone else because wala naman runoff. So, you don't even need to win the majority. If it's wide enough.
Yung sinasabi ko kay Isko, ako at least on my end, hindi ko kailangan siraan si Pangulong Duterte or si Pangulong Marcos or so anyone for that matter for Isko to win. I just need to prove na he's better than the others. Yun lang.
Exactly. I mean, this is a labanan ito ng basta just get more votes. But I mean, probably the next president could be also under 40%. I mean, you can still win it again, depending on how things happen. So, but I'm not ruling out the possibility of the next president actually getting the highest share ever. I think the highest share is Aquino so far. Sorry to say that, not Duterte. Aquino has the highest share. Duterte, not even 40%. Aquino, I think like 41, 42%. Who knows? Maybe the next president will get it.
It's still an open game, like you said naman anyone who's playing ngayon as a chance of winning. Kasi we don't know what will happen. We don't know the attacks na dadalhin kay, 'di ba, the negative attacks kay Isko, kay BBM, kay Sara, kay Lenny, kay Pak. We don't know if they would survive yung wave of attacks that's coming. Kasi for sure asahan na nila.
We don't know how the votes are counted eventually.
Yun pa, isang factor pa yun.
I mean, I think it's a factor we're not discussing enough, but I think we'll have to have a special episode on that because baka makasuhan tayo ng certain companies and all. We don't want to do that. That's not our job. But I think we have hindi naman tayo Tony Talks dito. So we're gonna do some research and some digging eventually, maybe later on as we get closer. Especially if I'm sure some candidates are gonna raise some issues about that. For sure, yan.
Naisip ko why hindi tayo Tony Talks sabi mo, 'di ba? Pero why can't we be like Tony Talks? Kunin kaya natin lahat.
We will. What I'm saying, I mean, like
let's try kaya.
We like the talks, not
the other part. Let's try to get everyone then parang si Tony.
Yeah.
Ito biglaan lang guys. Tatry namin dito sa
and everything. We want everyone. What I'm saying is that a journalist will fact check you or actually like look at also what I'm doing to you, Mark. Like, I push you on certain points. I don't allow you just to say your talking points. That's not journalism, right? That's not proper hosting. I mean, even Oprah will not allow you. I mean, just look at the interview of Oprah and like Prince, whatever, Harry, whatever, and Meghan, whatever. Like, she will push you. That's the job of any good journalist or even a decent host, right? So hindi tayo dito na figurin lang tayo and let the other side just to papogi or paganda, diba? That's what I'm saying. But of course, we want everyone to have a conversation. I mean, you could check my interviews. I've interviewed many people like Prime Minister Mahathir, Lorenzana, Trillanes, Carpio, whatever. I was arranging sana with President Duterte, nag-pandemic na. But President Arroyo, na-interview ko na, you can see all of that online. You can find them. See, what I do is respectful, right? But I kind of push them, but respectfully. Hindi yung mga babastusin mong journalist type. I don't like that. Yung pa-scoop, hindi ako ganun. You have to do it respectfully. But, kung talaga nagbobola or nagbo-bullshit yung sinasabi na, you respectfully kind of like, but sir, I think this is what, hindi yan totoo. You did politely, right? So neither yung ganon, nor yung ganon. I think there's a proper way, third, fourth way of doing that, which is what we hope to do in this podcast as we bring in guests later on, hopefully. And kaya nga, you guys need to keep on supporting us para naman makita nila na kung maraming comments and all, ay masaya pumunta dyan. Parang may audience din to mga dalawang na to. Otherwise, di ba, anong pake nila sa atin? So we hope to get many people. Hopefully we can get Heidelin Diaz, we can get, people from different fields, hindi lang politika, no? Kasi Project Pilipinas to, hindi Project Politika. So we want to get more people involved, hopefully in next discussions and all. Mark, so saan na tayo? So why do you think the Pacquiao-Isko didn't work? What is your version?
Maybe Pacquiao talaga wasn't really keen on being vice president talaga. Baka yun talaga ang gusto niya. Want to be vice? Oo. And Isko ayaw niya talaga yata talaga. And si Isko, never part of the option din naman yung vice. So buti pa nga si VP Lenny mas open pa eh. Pero
biglang lahat ayaw nila No, Lenny wouldn't run for vice anymore. I mean, definitely. She would just not run. That's it. I mean, ridiculous for her to run for vice. She would just not run at all. So in that sense, is it?
Baka tumakbo lahat. Lahat ng apat.
So let's talk about someone we're not talking about a lot. Lacson. What's up with that guy?
Ako I always say this kay Senator Ping. Okay naman siya. Alam naman natin yung record niya. May mga magaganda siyang nagawa ano. Maybe hindi lang niya
wala siyang pork barrel. That's a big thing in fairness.
Hindi niya natatranslate masyado sa social media. For the last
masyado sa social media.
Yeah, baka yun yung problema.
Twitter siya pero parang nagba-block lang siya ng tao, nag-awala. Parang alam mo wala siyang I don't know how to say it. Wala siyang engagement strategy. It's more like
walang engagement strategy. Yun. That could have been mas malaki sana si Senator Ping if merong maayos na social media strategy na before pa, hindi yung ngayong election na.
Magaling naman siya magaling naman yung phraseologist niya.
And then yun yung he has yung gusto ng tao ngayon na na kamay na bakal and may ganun siya eh. So
he was
siya yung before sumikat si Mayor Duterte, Digong, si Ping yung original. Pero yun nga, hindi natatranslate ng maayos to social media in the last 5 years or more. So sayang Senator Ping. So let's see kasi they're trying now. May mga kaibigan din ako dyan, social media dyan. So tingnan natin if they can do that. Pero I hear si Tito Soto is doing well.
As I said, my sense is baka Rispo will not even run for VP because of it. I mean, Itbulaga is Itbulaga. Let's just be brutally honest about it. I mean, mahirap talunin yan, di ba? I mean, let's see if Tulfo runs too or whatever. But Itbulaga is Itbulaga, man. I mean, and Tito Soto is, he's a long-term statesman. I mean, you may not agree with him or not, but I think as a state president, he didn't do too bad. In terms of holding the House together, protecting the integrity of the Senate, difficult times during Trillanes, not because of Trillanes, but when they wanted to put Trillanes in jail for that whatever stuff Salvador Panelo was making up. But yeah, I mean, he has some leadership materials. Perhaps marami lang siyang bloopers, and then I mean, like he's not the most, I would say, eloquent guy in the town, right? But there is some leadership material for him that I think would make a VP race much easier for him than for Lacson, right? Parang and very engaging si Soto.
Tsaka syempre lower stakes naman yung VP eh. So hindi ganoon ka, 'di ba? Hindi kasing bigat ng mga
unless Tatay runs. I mean, not have the kind of immunity the president has, but still, I mean, sitting vice president, maybe it's not as easy to arrest that person by ICC or something. But let's see, yeah. But yun nga, I mean, we have to have an episode on the vice presidency because like no one cares, but actually it could be a big element. I mean, for heaven's sake, this is the second highest office. No one cares, right? It's insane, right? This person could become the next president. I mean, thank God we didn't have a situation, except yung EDSA, diba? EDSA those under ERAP na nagkaroon ng change of leadership. But yeah, that's exactly the point. Yung when ERAP stepped down and Arroyo came in, we saw like vice presidency is not a joke, right? Overnight, biglang ikaw in charge of the country, in charge of lives of 10 million na tayo, 11 million Filipino na tayo. I mean, this is serious stuff. And yun nga parang nagiging consuelo na lang yung VP position. And it's even ridiculous. You don't run in one group. You run separately. So it's really hard to see also how exactly a VP can really help out. I don't know. It's sharing resources siguro for all. Let's see. So maybe we'll have an episode on the VP. We have to do more research probably on the VP position and all. Because back in the day,
kasi next week marami nang tayo malalaman eh. Next week
I
is
mean,
1 week away from
by
filing.
next week, I think we have an idea what's going to happen.
Ano mangyayari. Ang dami tayong grounds na i-cover definitely for next week.
So now, siguro half speculative, half insider information. Siguro mo nang ginawa natin. So parang informed speculation ang ginawa natin over the past 8 episodes, no? So hopefully episode 9, episode 10, and others, we will be really discussing, analyzing as the information comes in, verified information comes in on what's going to be the lineup, and then pag-usapan natin yung mga permutations and all, no? So soon, I would suppose Isko Moreno is going to also make an announcement, big announcement that I think we all know what's going to be the announcement.
So yung pinaka-point siguro dito sa episode natin na is there a chance for a united opposition? Parang zero na at this point. Parang at least 3 o 4 ang
that
tatakbo.
point. Yes. So maybe we can end on that. On that point, wow, lampas na tayo 1 hour. Gosh. On that point, my argument actually, nakita niyo na already in the previous episode, for me, maybe not united opposition now, but why not later? March, February, kung talagang isa lang talaga dito sa mga non-Duterte, non-Marcos ay nag-surge well ahead of everyone else, ang difference is double digit plus, let's say 10 to 15 points yung spread or more, maybe the other ones, if not, tama naman si Mark, maybe if officially mag-drop out ka, that might blacklist you among sponsors, although who knows, maybe not. I mean, this is the Philippines. But maybe informally, you can send out feelers to your supporters that if it comes to the day, I'm okay if you vote for someone who's more winnable na similar sa atin. So I think that kind of tactical, strategic, smart voting is an option. As I suggest, Alexei Navalny in Russia, they have a software, I think something like analytics na you can do kind of analysis of what kind of combinations you can do or who should you vote for to be most winnable. Maybe we can do something like that also dito sa Pilipinas. I think we have to learn from other cases. But all I'm saying, Mark, is we haven't tried this before. Why not let's try it also? I mean, Duterte is kind of like a first, right? Maybe not for the best, but he's the first. So maybe let's try another first, which is let's run, let's see Isko if he'll continue his surge. I mean, I have best wishes for the guy. Let's see Lenny, let her run, and Bongbong, Sara, all of them, let them run. I mean, your wild or fearless forecast is Sara will run anyway, right? And maybe really when it comes to the last moment, they'll say, yeah, we need the person there in the presidency. I mean, we cannot risk it. We cannot leave it to the Marcoses or who knows, the others to decide our future. We have to decide our future. Well, we have all the advantages, right? Coming to these elections. Any final thoughts, Mark?
Yun, na malalaman natin. Maganda mag-speculate, pero we will see in the next 2 weeks. Yun na. Kung how this will all play out. Pati yung mga VP candidates nila and all, and yung buong situation with the opposition and with administration, and yeah, exciting. Abangan nila.
Exciting. Maraming salamat, guys. Maraming salamat for following us. Alam ko medyo all over the place yung discussion namin, but we try to make it as focused and informative and interesting as possible. No, although puyat na kami, nakikita niyo na sa mga mata namin. Among other things, lots are going to happen also in our political realm soon, so we're going to have also other episodes. So please continue to support us. Subscribe to Project Pilipinas on Spotify, on YouTube, right? We already have our channel set up. Thanks to Mark for helping out also with everything. Meron na kami picture dyan sa Spotify and all. Makita niyo, si Mark mukhang DJ. Ako mukhang turista from Baguio. So that's it, right? So please support us para tuloy-tuloy kami, no? We can get also great guests, hopefully, in the coming months and years, hopefully, God willing, for discussions here. We want to do something very special for Philippines. I don't think a podcast like this has existed. No offense to everyone. I think we have fantastic podcasts here and there. But this is something very different, very special that we're trying to do. But we need your support. Okay, please subscribe us. Just click subscribe to Project Pilipinas, and of course follow us also separately on our own channels, Models of Manila in the case of Mark, and also like Richard Haydarian, Politica 360 or whatever I put there, right? Please also continue to support us, right? And of course on Facebook, Twitter, it's easy to find us, right? Busy din naman kami dyan, and hopefully as soon as we get more active in TikTok, also find us there. Okay, maraming salamat, guys. Mark, any final ideas? Any final all right, tulog na tayo. Medyo grabe na ito. Alright, maraming salamat. God bless. Once again, Project Pilipinas.
Bye guys.